Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about how to stay strong when watching parents age. And the strong in this case is how do you recognize what's caused the issues that parents' health is experiencing, and how do you avoid those issues as the caregiver? If you are watching an aging parent's health decline, it can be very emotional. You can be afraid of what's going to happen. As a caregiver, you can worry all the time. Many caregivers become so watchful and so attentive to all these small changes in mom or dad's health that it affects your life. You worry all the time. You don't sleep. You're always wondering what's going to happen if you're not there. So instead of becoming worried all the time about a parent's health declining, instead become curious about why this is happening. You are in an amazing position as a caregiver to pay attention and to realize how two major things that lead to older people needing care can be avoided, managed, or at least minimized. These two things are activities of daily living that we'll talk about and mobility. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is pameladwilson.com. Stay with me for this video. Press the links below to like and share this YouTube channel with other people who are looking for hope, help, and support. On my website, you'll find my podcast, open courses, articles in my library, a lot of information there. So let's talk about the two things, ADLs and mobility, that greatly affect the ability of older adults to age independently and that make it harder for family caregivers. And when I say harder, what I mean is it's more time intensive. It's eventually more physically intensive from a labor perspective because you're having to help your parents bathe and get out from chairs and do things like that. So if you're a caregiver for a sick parent, you may not yet have arrived at these situations, right? Maybe you're in the early stages of just, grocery shopping and doing these things and you're not seeing what's going to happen. If you're in that situation, you have the foresight now to prevent your parents from getting worse if they're willing to participate in some of these things. If you're on the other end and it's already too late, then that's a whole nother issue, but it's a learning opportunity for you, right? So there's a lot of upside here on the topic of how to stay strong when you watch your parents age. So let's begin with a simple thing, right? Walking. It's something that we all learned to do when we were, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, right? Standing and walking and taking your first steps was probably a huge deal for your parents. And if you have children, you're watching your kids do this, you're like, wow, they took their first step. We're so excited. Well, when we get older and we're healthy, we take for granted the ease at which we stand up from a chair or walk or do all of these things. Walking is one of the best things that everyone can do for their health, but we often don't do it beyond daily activities, right? You get up, you get dressed, you go to work, you walk in your work building, you walk from the parking lot, things like that, right? But beyond that, many people don't pursue walking as a solution to physical exercise and health. It's one of the activities that becomes sidelined, though, if you or your parents have an injury, a knee injury, hip injury, something like that. Being overweight can also make it more difficult to walk, especially if the weight is putting pressure on your joints or if you have heart conditions that place more stress on your body and it's difficult to breathe and you're not getting enough oxygen. Also, health conditions, like if you have asthma or COPD or something like that, congestive heart failure, that can make a person more tired when they try to exert the body, when they try to exercise. So age and difficulty walking distances outside of daily activities become a combination that eventually result in it being harder to do all the things that we take for granted every day when we're healthy, right? These are what the healthcare system calls ADLs. It's activities of daily living. Now, these things that you may already be helping your parents with are signs that if they need help with these, the question you should be asking is, how do I not do these for my parents out of kindness? Because the longer that my parents can do these by themselves, the better off they'll be and the less involved I'll have to be. Now, that's totally contradictory thinking for many caregivers who say, oh my gosh, my parents need help. I can do it. I'm just going to step in and make it easier on them. Well, you're really not making it easier on them in the long run. You're making it harder on them because you're taking away things that they still can do and you're deciding to take them on. So you're making it harder on yourself, right? Sounds crazy, I know. So ADLs are activities of living that are kind of combination exercises, right? Your parents go to the grocery store, they cook a meal, they feed themselves. It's cleaning the house. It's walking up and down stairs to do laundry and washing clothes and getting in and out of the shower and the bathtub, getting dressed, doing buttons, zippers, all that. All of these little things impact a person's ability to live independently, right? Now, the fact is, when you start seeing your parents have difficulty with these, if you ask, why is this difficult? Okay, why is this difficult? Is it difficult because of pain? Is it difficult because your parents' bodies have gotten physically weak and they don't have muscle strength anymore, or they lack the cardiovascular ability? So if you can start asking questions about why am I seeing this happen, right? And is there anything that I can do to help my parents so that they can continue to do this and I don't have to take this on, right? So it's not self-serving. It's actually beneficial for your parents and for you. So as a caregiver, all these things that you're doing help your parents, but it can also cause your parents to become more dependent on you. So that's where you want to keep your mind. So what does it take to stay strong? What does it take to stay physically strong for you and your parents? One thing is walking. While it may seem very simple, it's more complicated than you think. Because when you walk, and this is kind of the medical description, right? Your skeletal system, your bones and everything, your nervous system, your heart, your breathing, all of those things have to come together to allow you to put one foot in front of another and walk distances. So if your parents have any issues with their skeletal system, broken bones, arthritis, nervous system, pain, heart problems, breathing problems, walking can be difficult. So you see, it's really way more complicated than we think. But when we're healthy and we don't have any of these problems, we just take it for granted. The other thing with walking is balance, right? Older people, you may see your parents hanging on to furniture when they walk. They may walk unevenly. They may lean to one side, especially if they've had any type of physical injury. And the combination of having trouble walking and balance can result in them having problems living alone, especially if they fall or break a hip or something. Now, when you walk, right, you use your knees and your hips and your ankles and your feet move. Again, now, if you have poor posture because of an injury, you're leaning on one side, it's placing more stress on body parts. So there's a lot to think about when you watch your parents walk, or if they have difficulty walking or doing things around the house. The earlier that you can recognize, wow, maybe mom or dad's feet hurt. Is there something we can do about that? Are they having knee problems? Should we address the knee problems? Why is their balance weak? Do we need to do balance exercises? So noticing all of these little components can help you help your parents. Then we have the ADLs that you may be helping with. So again, it's bathing, dressing, going to the bathroom, eating, transferring, moving about, getting up out of a chair, getting into the car, bending, walking, all of that. Any difficulties with those, again, result in needing help or needing a caregiver. So as the caregiver, if you're already helping, watch and learn what your parents are having difficulty with and think about yourself. Are you already having difficulties with walking and getting around? Do you have aches and pains? What can you do today for yourself to prevent you from getting to the state that your parents are at? And knowing what you know, is there anything that you can do to help your parents improve their ability to do these things so that they don't get worse? Because research shows after the very young age of 30, unless we are proactive, unless we start walking and exercising and lifting weights, the body's ability to retain muscle mass starts declining. We get weaker. You know, look at your age now and think about, gosh, can I do what I did 10 years ago? Am I as strong as I was 10 years ago? What about 20 years ago? For most of us, the answer is probably no. And but we don't realize it until something happens and we fall and then we try to regain those abilities and it's shocking, right? It's like, oh my gosh, how did I get so weak? Well, it happens unless we pay attention. So the opportunity for you as a caregiver, even though you're thinking, I don't have any time to care for myself, I can't do this while I'm trying to work and take care of my parents and all this. I'm not saying that it's easy, but if you're going to exercise and you're going to take care of your parents, make them do the exercises with you. If you're going to walk, make your parents walk with you. Why not share the benefit of trying to stay strong and physically able and independent? If you're going to lift 1 pound weights, get mom and dad to do it with you, because this is the only way for all of us to stay healthy and strong in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. The body is going to become weak with age unless we do something. And the more that we can maintain our physical abilities, the fewer health problems we can have. So we can avoid, thinking about aging and all these problems, but one day it's eventually going to hit us. So it's better to be proactive today to learn about these things, to watch what's happening with your parents, figure out how to prevent them for yourself, and work together to stay independent. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website's PamelaDWilson.com. On there, a lot of hope, help, support for caregivers and aging adults. Please like my YouTube channel, share these videos with other people who are looking for hope, help, and support, and practical explanations about why things happen with health and managing caregiving relationships and everything in between. Thanks for being here. I'll see you all again soon in another video.